Okay, it says recording in progress.
Okay, good. We're flying.
All right.
Okay, cool. So I guess I'm hosting.
You're the man.
I'm not much of a host. Hello.
Well, the thing is, I think we got to this point because I had been on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We were talking about Todd Rundgren Productions. And of course, Grand Funk
Yeah,
Railroad's going to come up on that discussion. Grant does
yeah.
not like the Grand Funk Railroad. And you suggested, hey, why don't we have a discussion since it's never going to make its appearance on Grant's show and talk a
Yeah,
little bit about Grand Funk Railroad, give them some love.
yeah, exactly. And my situation with that is I talked to him about it and stuff too. I go, what songs did you hear that turned you off?
Mm-hmm.
And all I got was I'd rather hear Don Brewer than Mark Farner. And
Yeah,
I'm
there's
Team
something you
Farner.
don't like about Mark Farner, right?
I'm Team Farner. I'm sorry.
I am too. And I mean, what a what a
He's my guitar
blessing.
teacher.
What a blessing to have two great lead vocalists like that. But if I've got to choose between the two, Mark Farner is just so soulful, and
Yeah.
you take into account his stage presence and everything, and it's just like off the charts.
So you get to the point where you're like thinking, and I did, uh, what songs really turned you off? Was it the radio hits? I mean, can you listen to Some Kind of Wonderful and say, I hate Grand Funk Railroad. I'll never listen to anything they do.
I don't know.
I
Everybody
don't like that
hears,
song,
yeah, everybody hears
but they
things.
didn't write it.
Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of that, nor really the locomotion either. But it is a perfect
I don't
song for
mind the
that group.
locomotion so
It's a
much. I
perfect
really
song
don't.
for them to take a crack
Yeah.
at. And I
Yeah.
guess how that happened was they were recording in the swamp, which was Grand Funk Studio in Michigan. Todd Rundgren is in the production booth. Farner comes in from lunch. For some reason, he's singing the locomotion. And apparently, Rundgren was not familiar with the song. He goes, "What's that? What's that?" He goes, "Oh man, that's the locomotion by Little Eva. Haven't you ever heard that before?" And he says, I don't know what he said. He says, "But you guys got to record that song." And the rest is history on that front.
Yeah. And when you do a guitar solo, let me screw the shit out of it.
He had some embellishments, didn't he?
It's so weird. I've listened to that 100 times at least, on the
Mm-hmm.
radio, and I'm going, what the hell is Todd doing? And
Yeah,
it's gotta be Todd. I don't think
no,
Mark
not
could
of their
have
own
done it.
accord. I don't think they would have had that treatment to the lead guitar. But
There was a synthesizer that Steve Hackett used on the Lamb called the High Fly, made by EMS synthesizer company,
mm-hmm.
and apparently you can get them to wiggle big. And
Oh,
that just sounds like it's going into oblivion when he starts
yeah.
playing this lead and it just goes.
I think it was a shock to a lot of people, including the critics, when they brought Todd aboard as producer. Now, if I remember correctly, We're an American Band did receive a lot of favorable um, reviews from the critics who hated Grand Funk.
Oh, I
But
remember.
the follow up, Shining On, the one review I read that I crack up is some critic said someone should tell Todd Rundgren that Grand Funk Railroad is from Flint, Michigan, and not the Crowd Nebula, because he started added a lot of Todd spacey kind of um, production to even more on Shining On than it did on We're an American Band.
Well, here's what I think we had to do, Daryl.
Okay.
We kind of started in the middle of the catalog, so
Mm-hmm.
what I think we had to do is go backwards in the time machine
Okay.
and start with this guy. On
Okay.
Time,
Let's do it.
1969. This was released in, I think, January 69 or February 69. I
Mm-hmm. I
just
got my
saw it on
copy
the
right
thing.
here.
Yeah. And they open up with Are You Ready?
Mm-hmm.
And it rocks. I mean, I've always kind of compared Are You Ready to that Cheap Trick song, "Hello There, Ladies and Gentlemen."
Yeah. What a perfect opener. And like I
Yeah,
said, for years they used Are You Ready to
yeah,
open their shows. The thing about it for me is my first introduction into Grand Funk Railroad was from a neighborhood kid who was like 4 years older than me. I was still
yeah,
in grade school when Grand Funk hit the scene, but it was the live album that was the first one that I heard.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I was
True.
floored. And hats off to my neighbor, wherever you are. But I mean, a lot of these songs from the first album, uh, to me, they pale in comparison to the live versions. Like I
Yeah,
never listened to Are You Ready on um, their debut. And I want
yeah.
to listen to that song. I listened to the first live album. But I think that's true of all the songs here that do appear on that first live album. I'd rather listen to those versions than these.
Well, that's coming. We'll get to it.
Okay.
My, I just want to say, I've got this thing about. I'll tell you that later. But anyways, my favorite song on this album is "Can't Be Too Long."
Okay.
I just love the soul that Mark Farner puts into that vocal, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got that cool little lick right before that chorus where it goes da 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 da
Then,
da 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 da, and it changes key.
mm-hmm.
And since you said you know how to play and stuff, you know about the key changes. The song goes from E to B. It actually goes B to F sharp minor, then back to B, and then D, and
Mm-hmm.
then it works its way back up to E. I just love this song, and the beginning of it, it's perfect for like Mellotron. Those oohs and ahs in the beginning, that would
Yeah.
be good for Mellotron. I might do a cover of that. Always loved that song. Always wanted to
Well,
do it.
yeah,
Heartbreaker
anybody
was the single, I think. Where is that right? Heartbreaker, was that the big single off the album?
um yeah, I believe that was the single from this or was it, I think it was Time Machine actually.
Time Machine's really cool.
Yeah.
Turns out
Um
they didn't write it. It was written by somebody else. I
those
always
of
thought it
you
was
those of you that may be listening out there, Rand is a fantastic guitarist. Now I used to play, but mine sits in the corner of the basement here, and every once in a while I'll plunk away at it. But I've seen some of your videos, man. Your
thank
skills
you.
are
Oh,
outstanding.
I
But
started in 1965. Thank you so much.
yeah, I started as a kid too, probably a little later than you, but around that time.
Now it's
For
funny that the Capitol Records. Oh, this is good. This is entertainment here, boy.
see, I
There's
got the I
there's
got
nothing.
I, I got the remastered.
Oh, did you? Well, who
Yeah.
wrote Time Machine? Because the Amazon thing said it was written by other people than Grand Funk. This says it was written by Mark Farner.
Let's see if it gives.
Amazon
Doesn't
could
say
be
it
wrong.
doesn't say who the writer is
Oh,
in
really?
here,
It
unless
says
I
right
got
on
a.
the disc. Says right on the disc right there, Mark Farner.
I mean,
But yeah, and again, here we go. Capitol Records, right? The Beatles, the Beach Boys.
nothing on mine. No information.
Yeah, see, I've got the old one, the original with the green label. The
Hmm.
record, the record looked like that. It had a green label when I bought
Right.
it.
That was at the apple green
Yeah,
label. Um, for me, this album, my favorites go with tracks 5, 6, and 7, TNUC, Into the Sun, and then followed up by Heartbreaker.
yeah,
It's a big block of my favorites right in the middle. And here's a bit of a funny story, and maybe I should wait till we get to the live album to tell it.
yeah.
I
That's
was
probably the best idea.
okay. All right, but
That way, that way,
those are
everything will run in continuity.
okay. The three
'Cause-
in the center there are my favorites on this album. Like I say, I love Are You Ready, but I save that when I want to listen to it, the live album version.
yeah. So wow. So five of these songs were on the live album.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, I think that live, they didn't really, I'm looking at closer to home, and I don't think well, Mean Mistreater's on there. And In Need.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, the first album, they pulled heavily for that live concert. Oh, the Red album.
the Red Album.
This,
Now I gotta say now, I can say now, My friend Andy Robertson from Eureka, California, who I've known since 1968, he told me I could use his name. He's the one that turned me onto this. He loaned me this record, and he loaned me live album,
Okay.
and he said, "Go ahead and just listen to this stuff and tell me what you think." And I just fell in love with it. I tell you, man. Now, see, I got that one you had here.
Oh, okay. Then you've got the
Yeah,
remaster that they put out a few years back.
yeah, and my favorite, well, Inside Looking Out, yeah, of course, but
They made that song
we
their
know that's
own.
an Animals tune, and they made it
Yeah,
their own.
they
Yeah,
sure did.
yeah, and live, it's just phenomenal. We're gonna get to that live album though,
Okay.
but I love on this album, I love In Need, and I
Hmm.
love uh, Miss Mr. Limousine Driver, and I love Paranoid. Paranoid's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, and again with this album here, uh, great opener with "Got This Thing on the Move."
Yeah,
This band, I immediately connected with it big time. I mean, it just
yeah,
resonated
me
with me in
too.
a big way. And like I say, I get it. A lot of the critics didn't get it. There are a lot of Grand Funk haters out there, but
Yeah.
I just immediately connected with this band big
So
time.
when I got into the Air Force, which was like November of 1970,
Hmm.
when I got to my station base, which was Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, January 1971, first two albums I bought when I bought a stereo was Closer to Home and Live Album.
There you go.
So this comes first, Closer to Home, of course.
Right.
And my I love I'm Your Captain, don't get me wrong. But my
Hmm.
favorite song on this album is the opening number, Sin's a Good Man's Brother.
Yeah.
This
What
is
a
a
heavy riff.
killer
Just
too.
immediate. They had a knack for just picking what's going to lead off an album and just that immediacy. I
And
mean, every
Mark
time
Carter's vocal on that is just
oh,
to die for. I mean, we're talking White Snake type singing.
yeah,
It's so
so
good.
much power and soul in his voice.
Makes
Love
you
it.
wonder how influential he probably might have been on Ian Gillan and David Coverdale.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Gillan probably more of a contemporary. David Coverdale maybe a couple years behind, but yeah, certainly I can draw parallels there as well. Okay.
This is one of the greatest live albums. It doesn't sound very good, but my God, the energy on this album is
It
unparalleled. It's
it
off the
just
chart.
it just explodes. You drop the needle on that thing back in the day, and it just explodes out of your stereo. I that live album that I bought back in the day, I wore out the grooves on that album. And we were talking about we both were coming up playing guitar. This thing, I don't know how many times I'd lift the needle to learn songs, and you get to a certain point in the song, and then you didn't know what he was doing next, and you lift the needle, go back and back. Yeah, I wore out the grooves on this one. And in fact, um, I was with my dad when I purchased this from a department store. My dad was a guitarist as well, and he was interested in rock music. This was about the time that he stepped away from a lot of the stuff with the Sabbaths and the Grand Funks, but he liked rock and roll through the 60s and such. And he's looking at these songs, and he goes, "Hey, what's this song TNUC?" I think he was testing me. So what does this kid know?
I didn't know
I
for
was complete,
years.
complete,
I
complete
I didn't
ignorance.
know.
Oh no, oh no. I think he figured it out pretty quick, but he just wanted to know what I knew.
All you got to say is just put it up to a mirror.
Yeah, there you go. There's your answer. But I think he knew, but he was just trying to test me. But
But
this live
this
album
version
is,
of Paranoid is just, oh,
yeah.
how he does that fuzz box on his messenger guitar with the wah wah
Hmm.
pedal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the sound he gets, it's almost like a synthesizer. It's unbelievable. This band could do so much with so little. It
And
was
that's the,
unbelievable.
yeah. With a trio, you got to be in sync, and everybody's got to be an MVP in that band. And
Yeah.
Mel, a lot of times, does not get salutations he should. That guy he was almost like a second guitarist, but doing his job as a bassist too. Hey,
Well, and I
tremendous.
noticed right off the bat that he had a really unique uh, way of playing. He always played below the pickup towards the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and he used a pick, but he had flat wound strings, and he had a Fender jazz bass that was like the most customized Fender jazz bass you'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Had the it had the block inlay all the way to the end of the neck, and you don't see that very often.
Right.
That was quite the fancy bass, you know.
Yeah.
My God, this band, I just love them. See that Circus magazine? My friend Andy actually had that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Circus Magazine was a regular purchase for me back in the day. This
He's,
is
he he turned me on to Circus and Grand Funk
a true friend there.
because I didn't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was back in the day. That's the way it was. We didn't have
Yeah,
internet. It was word of mouth,
and and
especially
and
for a group like Grand Funk.
and
Until
all
I'm
I
your
know. I'm sorry, I'm bad at this. I interrupt a lot.
no, that's okay.
But I was gonna say all I was doing was the Beatles. I did Beatles from '64 to 1968 or so, and then people started turning me on to other things.
Mm-hmm.
Andy turned me on to Grand Funk Railroad and some early versions of Krog and stuff, which I won't get into right now. My
Right.
cousin Kevin Kelly, he turned me on to Cream and Led Zeppelin, and my neighbor Don Murfeld, he was listening to Iron Butterfly, so I was getting all kinds of cool stuff. In fact, the AM station in Eureka, K-Red Radio, was playing the 18-minute version of Inagata Devita
Mm-hmm.
at night at 12 o'clock at night, and they had what they called psychedelic hour or something,
Right.
and they took 18 minutes of that hour and played Iron Butterfly.
Yeah. Well, that's the same experience I had. It was like older neighbors, one in particular. He knew I played guitar and the kind of music I was into, and he's the one that turned me on to Grand Funk. I had older cousins that were into Grand Funk and Led Zeppelin. And for me, being 3 or 4 years younger than them, I mean, I was hanging on whatever they direction they were kind of trying to take me and expose me to different bands. I was there. They freaked me out a little bit because they played Blood Rock's DOA. But
Oh
that's
my
another
God.
story when you're
I
a
li-
little kid.
I listened to that to death in the Air Force. We loved that song. That was a great song. Oh my
Uh-huh.
God. Couldn't get enough of Blood Rock.
But yeah, this live album, I put it right up there with Get Your Yeah Yeahs Out with the Stones, and also Humble Pie Rockin' a Fillmore.
Oh yeah.
Tremendous, tremendous live albums. Those are probably my three favorite live ones.
And not only that, what's the big record breaking thing that they always bragged about?
Oh,
They
they sold
sold
out
out Shea
Shea
Stadium faster than the
faster
Beatles.
than the Beatles. If you've ever seen footage of that concert, it was insane. They showed people in the stands, and you could actually see the stands going up and down as the people are stomping
Yeah.
their feet to the music and everything. It's unreal.
Well, all I've seen of the early live was when my friend Andy, he came over to my house, and it just so happened that my parents were out of town, and they trying to find Phoenix here. Um, Let me see here just for a second. I'm just trying to find out which came first, Survival or Phoenix.
Oh, Survival. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I had it out of order. Good. Anyways, yeah. And we watched the Cincinnati Pop Festival live on
Mm-hmm.
TV, and Grand Funk Railroad just killed.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's one scene in that where Mark's in a solo and he's in a zone, and he does a forward flip off the stage. That's how he hurt his back doing stuff like that. He always
Uh,
had back trouble.
yeah.
So Survival came first.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
he
so
was quite the front man.
here's
Oh, there you go,
Survival.
Survival.
This
What
came
an
out in
interesting
what,
concept.
1971.
Yep.
Yeah, we're cavemen.
This
This is
this,
the look here. They're still on Capitol Records. Capitol really held on to them for a long time. I mean, they put out 2 albums in 1969, 2 albums in 1970. Actually, well, yeah, 2 albums in 1970. Was the live album 70 also?
Yeah.
Okay, so they released 3 albums in 1970.
Yeah, you got to strike when the iron's hot. They could feel that these guys
Or
were really coming
actually, they
on.
actually just the 2, and then Closer to Home too, right? So
Yeah.
that's just the 2, and then Survival. This has a nice booklet in it and stuff. This is pretty
Hmm.
good. That has
Yeah.
all kinds of, like, Japanese crap in it. It's got all the lyrics. This is pretty good. I like Survival a lot. They do a couple of cover tunes that are really good.
Yeah.
Traffic's Feeling All Right, and the Rolling Stones,
Gimme
Gimme
Shelter.
Shelter.
Another
I
one that
This is
just
my favorite version of Gimme Shelter, by
mine
the
as
way.
well. Mine as well. And
And I
with this,
love I Can Feel Him in the Morning. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. There's always a very spiritual side to a lot of Grand Funk's music. I think mostly coming from Mark, because after Grand Funk's demise the first time, he went into contemporary Christian music for a while.
Right. Yeah,
So
Country Road is a really good opener on this. It's got
yeah,
that kind of
um,
like a,
this
I
one,
don't know what kind of beat it
this
is.
album, I feel like they started to step away from a lot of what they've done before, and went in some different kinds of directions a bit.
Yeah.
Like Country Road, as you mentioned, Comfort Me. I Can Feel Them in the Morning. Not saying that it can't draw parallels or comparisons to Closer to Home, but I just feel like with this album, there was more that type of content that wasn't the hard driving rock music of the previous albums. It's
Yeah.
still here, but there's like more of a variety spread out between
Yeah, the
the seven
heaviest song on that
songs.
album is "Gimme Shelter."
Oh yeah. And All
That's
You
the
Got Is
heaviest.
Money would probably be runner up.
I forgot about this one here too. This came out later.
Yeah, yeah. I have that as well.
This
I
is
didn't
so
pull it
good
out here.
because they were able to incorporate E Pluribus Funk and foot stomping music and stuff like that. I guess I got them out of order because here's E Pluribus Funk. And
Hmm.
this came before Phoenix. I've got these all out of order for some reason. I don't know why. But this was 71 too, right?
Yeah,
This one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And the original LP, it looks like that. It's a coin.
yeah, there was a lot of thought that went into their um overall presentation with their album covers and everything. So
Yeah.
you could tell Capitol knew that they were going to move some product with this band and put some money behind it, because that die cut coin cover, that's a lot of extra expense that they went through to
Yeah.
put that out. But they
And
knew
it's
they'd
pretty
make it
cool.
back. They knew
Pretty
they'd
cool
make
to
it.
have too. I actually ended up buying one of those just because I had lost my original.
I still got mine in the vinyl archives here. But yeah,
Okay, yeah. What's weird about this is the coin says 1972, but it was released in 1971.
mm-hmm,
And the songs on this are killer. Foot stomping music, great opener, one of the best openers ever.
right,
And people, let's stop the war. Well, Vietnam was just raging, and I'm in the Air Force, right?
right, absolutely. Upsetter, I Come
Upsetter,
Tumbling.
I Come Tumbling's got Mel Shocker bass. It's
Oh
just
yeah, the boom, boom,
unbelievable
boom, boom,
bass.
boom, boom.
And Loneliness is gorgeous. They even put an orchestra in there.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like trying to capture a bit of I'm Your Captain. That's sort of
Yeah,
cinematic almost
yeah.
presentation of a song. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite Grand Funk albums, E Pluribus Funk. It
Well,
just, from foot stomping music through No Lies, it just rocks.
yeah. I mean, this is a rocking album, no doubt. Uh, and after that one came Phoenix,
That's when there was the parting of the ways with Terry Knight as their producer.
and Craig Frost comes on as keyboard player,
Right.
who was originally in Terry Knight and the Pack.
I brought him back.
You see that? Do you see that sign?
Oh, time left. 10 minutes.
I told you it's fast.
They're not
But
running on the same time frame
we'll
we
see if we
are.
can we'll see if we can do these in a few parts and see if we can
Okay.
do that. I don't see
Yeah,
why not.
these Terry Knight promoted them, and I'm not saying he didn't open up doors for this band, but he also
He
really
ripped,
screwed these
yeah, I
guys
know he ripped them
royally.
off.
He
Yeah,
really did. Um, this was recorded in Nashville, and there are country feeling or country types of elements to this album with, Doug Kershaw's playing fiddle on Flight of the Phoenix at the end there. That's one thing I never thought I'd hear on a Grand Funk Railroad album
yeah.
is a fiddle. And somebody's someone, rain keeps falling. I mean, there are country elements to this song, but I think the band was kind of spinning their wheels at this time. It's like, where do we go from here? We don't have a manager anymore, and it's up to us. So this was a pivotal time in the band's history. They could either implode or move on to, because times were changing, and what sold and what was played on FM radio, wasn't as relevant now. They had to figure out a new direction. And that's when, Rundgren comes into the mix and was so important.
The unique thing about E Pluribus Funk and Phoenix is that both songs open up with Mark Farner playing the Hammond organ. Even though in
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, Craig Frost is their keyboard player, he
Right.
does Fly to the Phoenix, and it's the first time and the only time that Grand Funk Railroad opens the album with an instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Farner's organ playing is great. I
Oh
mean, he's
yeah.
really good. He's really good. And I knew he could play keyboards from Mean Mistreater because he plays the Wurlitzer piano on that. And he
Mm-hmm.
runs it through like a shitload of Marshalls. And it sounds real distorted, but it's killer. I
Yeah,
love it.
he truly does not get his due as a instrumentalist and especially a vocalist and a front man. Just outstanding. I saw Grand Funk in the 80s when they made a little bit of a comeback with those two albums we'll be talking about later. They opened the show with foot stomping music. When they got to the part where Mark leaves the keyboard, comes up to the mic with his guitar, says, "Did everybody want to?" And then his guitar was not plugged in. There was nothing. There was nothing. So he's frantically running around the stage and getting roadies and whatever. And Don and Mel are just going, just keeping that beat, looking around, waiting for when they're going to get the guitar. Finally, they had to they stopped playing, got things right with the guitar, and then started all over again.
Wow.
Just a little tidbit there.
That's amazing. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention the only single that really did anything off of Phoenix was Rock and Roll Soul, which
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely fantastic song.
Yeah, that buoyed them a bit while they were
It
trying to
did.
get their bearings. That
I
hit
believe it.
helped.
I believe it did. God, all my
And
cases are cracked, every one of them.
I
I
just
must have
ordered. I
I
just
must
ordered a
have
batch
jammed
of.
all these in.
I just
I
ordered a
must have
batch of
jammed them
20.
in.
I ordered a batch of 25 cases because I noticed some of mine were getting really shabby too.
Oh
There
yeah,
you go.
George.
You've got.
Okay,
I've got the remaster, but I've got
this
the
is
original yellow vinyl of the
oh
album
yeah,
in the
I think
archives.
I was gonna buy that, but I probably backed off because I didn't think I cared. But there they are,
Yeah, in all their glory.
naked
Little
in
eye
a barn
candy, little eye candy for the ladies, I guess.
with the little American flags in the hay.
There you go.
If nothing, they're patriotic, folks.
Gotta hand it to them. Yeah, gotta give them that.
But this is the entrance of Todd Rundgren as the producer.
Mm-hmm.
They're still on Capitol, and the title cut is freaking huge, and
It's
it's
like,
sung by Don Brewer,
yeah,
the drummer. This is the first time a hit single was, I believe,
yeah.
vocalized lead vocal by Don Brewer, and it
That
just
that
went
was
through the roof.
that
This
was
is
one
their
of that was
this
one
is
of
probably their biggest hit. Yeah.
oh yeah, this was one. Well, Bad Time was big, but I don't know if it reached the heights of American Band. But that was
Yeah.
one of Rundgren's decisions. He wanted to start to give more of the lead vocals to Don Brewer for whatever he heard, maybe just to mix it up a little bit. I don't know. Mark
Yeah, he
and
sang
Don's
Black Licorice,
vocals
right?
work good when they play off of each other on a lot of songs. But
Yeah.
and they hunted for the longest time to find the right cowbell for this song too. Did you know that?
No.
They tested all kinds of cowbells until they find the exact one that that's it.
What'd they do? Call Sandy Pearlman?
I don't, I don't know what the process was, but they went through a lot of cowbells till they found just the right sound. But what were your feelings being a Grand Funk fan and then listening to this with Todd Rundgren's production? What was your
I
initial
mean, I
thought?
thought it sounded fine. I mean,
I did too.
the only thing I knew about Todd Rundgren at this point was that he had done that album called Something Anything, which was one I bought just as
Mhm.
I bought it because I saw the light on the radio and I thought, he's got a double album. Good God, there's a lot of songs on this. I think I'll buy it. And I was really glad. I love
Oh,
it.
it is a
Love the
tremendous
record.
album. He's like
Yeah.
one of my Mount Rushmore rock stars as far as people. I'm just stunned and amazed at their talent.
Yeah.
I liked what he did. I was a big Rundgren fan already at the time, and he put a veneer of polish on the Grand Funk. They weren't as gritty as they were earlier on. It was different slightly, but I still liked it, and it was right for the times because things were changing a bit.
Yeah. I mean, this
And
is
he,
right before Utopia.
yeah, this was when
He was
things
doing
were,
A Wizard of True Star
yeah, this is the
in
musical
73.
landscapes
Yeah.
changing a bit, and they had to move with the times. That's why that Phoenix album was like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And he pointed them in the right direction and shot them off even to a higher level than they were before.
Well, the
Um,
Black Licorice was a huge hit,
oh yeah.
and maybe didn't get on the radio much, but it was a huge hit around like in the barracks. Oh
Hmm.
wait, I was out of the Air Force by then. Forget that.
In certain circles,
My friends in certain circles
certain circles.
were listening to Grand Funk Railroad when this had come out, and Creepin', I
I
believe is it
love
Mark Farner?
creeping.
Yeah,
Creeping,
Mark
stop
Farner.
looking
Walk
back.
Like a Man is a big one.
Yeah, that was another single. It was a We're an American Band, and the second single was Walk Like a Man, which I
Oh
think
yeah,
got
yeah,
to
yeah.
18 or 19 on the
I got it
charts.
confused with Black Licorice. And then
Hmm.
The Railroad is a great song, and
Oh
Loneliest
yeah.
Rider, really cool. Is that again where they add another orchestra in there? Loneliest
Um,
Rider?
I think there's a lot of effects that make you think it may be more orchestral, but I don't know if an actual string type orchestra was on that one.
Well, I always kind of get Loneliest Rider and Loneliness mixed up because of the lonely part.
Hmm.
I could be doing what they call juxtapositions
Right.
incorrect. Okay, so that's 1973. They're going to keep Rundgren around and then put this out. And you have to have 3D glasses to see this one. It's a box set.
Yeah.
Have you have you seen this one? It's
No,
not really much.
I haven't seen a box set of
It's
that.
not really a much of a box set. It's in a box.
Hmm.
It's just a
It
regular.
just fits in there.
It just sits in the box that makes it look like a.
Oh, but there's a
I
big
got
thick
shining on
booklet.
the box set, man.
I have my vinyl on this too, and I have the glasses as well. I didn't poke them out there and give the album a look that way, but yeah, they put money. Capitol put money into promoting Grand Funk big time
Yeah, yeah.
because
This says EMI plus right here. So this is it says I don't know it's definitely, it says made in Europe. This is an import.
oh okay, yeah,
EMI.
I've never seen that before.
I don't even know how I got this. I might have ordered this on Amazon, but yeah, it's in the what they call the originals series or something.
Hmm.
But I don't even remember much about this album. All I remember is Locomotion got played on the radio constantly.
Oh yeah.
It was on the radio all the time. I could see why people kind of got fed up with this band because of the radio hits, but the deep cuts are the ones that are really good.
I love Shining On.
Shining On. I
That's
was
just a
just gonna
great
say,
tune.
great opener again. Don Brewer just
Hmm.
singing away.
Yeah.
But